Well, today is Tuesday before Christmas. It's cloudy outside. I have nothing else to do outside. And so I want to make this little video about this painting that I've been working on for so long. I don't know when I'll get it finished. Hopefully soon. But I wanted to explain some things about it and talk to you a little about what I do to do this painting. I don't work very fast, as everyone knows, but when I do start to paint, I clean off this palette very well. This is glass. What's happened here is I've cleaned it off because I'm in the middle of a section that I'm painting on the painting. I finished all the background areas, and I've started on the face and the skin tones in the face, and so I want a clean palette to start working on the various colors so that when I do sit down and work, I can come and work on it. Paint will still be dry. I can work on it later in the day. The next morning I can work on it. Later that day I can work on it for 2 or 3 days before my paint dries on me, and that way I can keep achieving what I really like in a painting, is the blended edges where the wet paint blends into the color next to it instead of having sharp edges. Now in some cases on my work, I like the sharp edges, and I will build those sharp edges, but it's hard to define. I have to make sure it's wet with wet so that the edge meets and there's no naked canvas in between the edges. My paints I keep out here on the table, and I have a very small palette. Actually, I use a great deal of white. I use a great deal of white paint, and I use a lot of raw umber. I use black and this Van Dyke brown. This Van Dyke brown is something I use quite a bit. I've done monochromatic paintings before just using Van Dyke brown and white. I use, of course, the basic red, yellow, and blue. And then I have an orange that I got because it was difficult to achieve the right orange, mixing the reds and yellows that I've got. So when I start to do a painting, it's because I've come across an image of some kind, photographically, that appeals to me and looks like it will translate well onto a canvas. And I don't usually work this large. Normally my canvases are smaller, like this size. But this one, I had this idea a couple of years ago to do this painting from this particular image. It was from a photograph of a grandchild of my brother's, and if he watches this video now, the news will be broken to him, and it won't be a surprise. But he doesn't really know how far I am on the painting, or when he's going to get it, or if he wants to buy it, or he doesn't know any details. I just wanted to do the painting, and then all those things will follow later because the image appealed to me. It's not like I'm doing a project for my brother. This particular grandchild is favored above all the others he has. I just happened to see this image, and I fell for the composition of this image with the rounded hat. The straw hat the girl's wearing is very round. She has a face. Her face is shaped so that it's a small girl's rounded type shaped face. And then in addition to that, she has these glasses on, these fun glasses she was apparently wearing on this trip. And the glasses are round. They have the round frames, and they're multicolored frames. So all those round shapes, the repetition of the round shapes, contributed to the impression on my mind for something that would would appeal to me to do in a painting. So I'm working on this painting, and it took forever. It's taken forever for me to get around to doing it, but I managed to get my reference imagery printed, and the printing, these two images of the same picture, these two printings are totally different. The colors are different, which doesn't really matter because I don't typically follow exactly. I don't copy the photograph exactly. It changes many times before it comes to the end of the painting. And one of the things that changes is the colors. The shapes change somewhat, but what dictates the shape changes is my impatience usually, or me wanting to make the edges blended. And so when I tend to blend the edges, the shapes somewhat alter, and then I get impatient, and I don't have the patience or the tenacity to exactly make all the shapes exactly the same as in the photograph, because it doesn't really matter. What matters is that I put into the painting what I feel looks good. Now, with that said, I like the shapes that come out on the photograph. That's why I'm using this type of shape. And I use Photoshop. I take the photograph and I put it in Photoshop, and I apply these filters so that it comes out with these geometric kind of shapes to the features in the face and the things in the picture, background, the hat, everything. It's somewhat geometrical in shape. I did a large painting like this of myself some years ago. It's hanging in my living room. So I'll start by putting the colors on the palette like that I think I'm going to use for that session or for the next few sessions, and I'll use a lot of white. I'll squeeze out a bunch of white here. I'll put some black. I'll put some blue, and I'll put some raw sienna, which is kind of a brownish, warm brownish color. A Van Dyke brown. I don't always, if I'm going to do something really dark, like it looks black, I don't use black. I just darken my Van Dyke brown to make it warm. Yellow, orange, and I put my colors on here, and then I have this cup of medium that I use. The medium consists of I could use what's that oil for painting? I don't use that. I use a safflower oil. The safflower oil is kind of organic, biodegradable kind of stuff. It smells funny if it goes rancid. And then in addition to that, I have a slow dry medium, which I add to the medium I'm making, and it slows the drying of the oil so that I take my time working on it. Mixed with an ample portion of terpenoid, which is like a turpentine, odorless turpentine paint thinner, kind of thinner, that I mix in that little cup there. So I take that little cup, and I take my palette knife like this, and I dip it in there, and then I'll start mixing my color. I'll mix quite a bit of this mixture, this medium that I've got, in with the color. I don't paint straight from the tube. It's too thick. It doesn't have any glossy effect to it at all. I don't have any varnish in there, but that's something I want to get, to add a little varnish into my medium, so that when I mix my paint on the palette, it comes out to a consistency like almost like the paint that you find in paint by number sets, which is drippy. It's kind of thin and drippy. I like it that way because when I lay the paint down, either with a number 6 brush, round brush like this, or even a bigger brush like this. This is what is this number? I don't even know. Just a big brush. It's about 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch across. But when I lay that down to large areas on the canvas, or even the smaller areas, I lay the paint down very thin. I put it down very thin, but I put it thick enough to cover the canvas, and thick enough to stay wet for a while, so that when I put a neighboring color on, I go over the edges and I have that blended, that really soft edge, that blended edge. Oh, that kind of thing really turns me on when I have that blended edge working for me on two different colors that come together. Now, that's about it for the painting today. I don't know how long this video is for, but I wanted to touch a little bit about the painting since it's taking me so long to do this painting. And I'm not going to show you, I can't put my cameras back far enough to capture this whole painting unless I push the painting back, and there's several things behind it here in the way. But I sit here on my little, it's like a swivel office chair with no arms on it. I got this little swivel arm, this little swivel office chair. That way I can roll back and forth. And then on a painting this size, I will stand up. Quite often I stand up and just paint from my palette, with my brush here. And I have the brush in hand. I can reach down, reach my palette, and I can paint all the areas of the painting standing up. If I'm doing something low, I take the opportunity to then rest my knees and paint on this area down here. On a large canvas like this, I tend to get into small areas, and I make mistakes because my hand is floating. I don't have anything to rest my hand on, so I use this stick. There's a name for these kind of sticks, but I don't know what it is. But I'll put this stick up here, and then I rest my hand on the stick when I do the painting, and that kind of gives me a support to do the painting without jumping or moving, with my hand just floating here in midair. So I've got a little rest, a little prop, like a tripod for a camera. It's a support to hold my hand. Well, that's about it for now. I'll sign off this video, and I think I'm doing something else pretty soon. See you later.